Hey everybody, happy Teaching Tuesday. My name is Gianna and I put out new videos every single Tuesday. I have a Q&A for you guys today. I know you guys love to hear all about my time on Disney Cruise Line. For those of you who don't know, I did work on the Disney Dream last year as a fairy godmother and in training for a contract. And yeah, I'm really excited to make this video. I love talking about cruise line. So for those of you who don't know, you can go on the community tab on my page and I ask questions and things there. So if you do have questions about cruise line or if you want something answered, you can definitely put them in the comments down below. But you can also go to that community tab and just chat it up. So that's that. I've just recently started using that. So that's pretty new for me as well. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. So I wrote down a bunch of questions. I don't have all of them on my sheet because I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to do all of them, but I will make a second Q&A so that all of the questions do get answered. So we got some really good ones, some out there ones. Now that you guys have kind of been following my journey for a while, it's interesting to see what you guys come up with. So let's just get right into it. The first question is, what happened to Rochelle? I get this question so much. And so for those of you who don't know who Rochelle is, I made a few videos in the beginning when I'm doing my shoreside training. And basically, Rochelle and I got on the ship at the same time. We were in shoreside training together. Shoreside training is right before you work for cruise line. You come to Florida or to California, depending on where your ship is going out of, and you train on land for 3 days. So you go to some classes and stuff. I went to Disney University and took some classes about what cruise line was kind of gonna be like and your traditions, basically, if you guys have worked for Disney before. It's basic training. And Rochelle was with me. She was the only girl. We were a very small group of, I think 7 of us. So me and Rochelle got along very well, very quickly. And we were very fast friends. And we hung out every day because as soon as you get on the ship, you're also training. So you train for another week once you get on the ship. So we were together for 2 weeks total, and it's kind of this thing where neither of us know what's about to happen. Working on cruise line, we were both scared, and we were both so far from our families, and she was from the UK, so she was super far from her family, and it's a scary thing. So you kind of cling on to the kindness, and we had a lot of fun. I took her to Target for the first time. That's in one of my shoreside vlogs, so I will link my shoreside vlogs below if you haven't seen them. It was a really fun time. So that's that. That's who Rochelle is. Where is she now? Or what happened to her? Nothing happened to her. So she obviously finished out her first contract. She actually, from what I heard, went back for a second contract on the Dream. Once we got on the ship and training was over, it was kind of hard for us to stay in touch because Rochelle was in the dining room, so she had different privileges than I. So she couldn't do as many things as I could on the ship. And I was really good friends with my fairy godmother friends, and she was really good friends with her dining room friends, and we still saw each other and hung out and but it's so hard because our schedules were so different. Also, if you guys really want the tea on this one, there was a boy that I was talking to, and from what I know now, Rochelle is on vacation with him. But that didn't deter our friendship at all because that's just how cruise line is. You guys it is what it is. I was never mad about it, but that was kind of something that I was okay. So that's that. Now you guys know the story. The next question is, the question was getting off the ship / security / time frame. So I know I've answered some of these questions, but I don't know what videos I answered them in, so I'll just go ahead and answer again. Getting off the ship when you work on the ship, it depends on where you're working. So me, for being a fairy godmother in training, being in the Bippity Boppity Boutique, we got very little time to get off the ship because we were working all of Nassau Day, all of Castaway Day. Some other departments don't have to work as much during port days, but they still do work. So when you're working 70 hours a week, you're pretty much working all the time. There's not really an opportunity to get off. So for fairy godmothers, I know we got on port day in Port Canaveral, we had to work in the morning and then we got a short break in the afternoon. So maybe from like noon to 3 because everybody has to be back on the ship at 3. So basically what you do is you go to the crew gangway and you go through security just like you would getting off the ship as a guest. And the security there, you can't bring anything off of the ship that you have like purchased or anything like that, or like your stuff. So if I was bringing like an extra, if I was gonna go somewhere and I wanted to bring an extra outfit, they would like question me about the outfit. You're like not allowed to bring, and I don't know what the rules were around that, but you're not allowed to bring your stuff off the ship. I don't know if it's because they think you'll like run for it or what, but you're not allowed to bring like too many clothes or anything unless you fill out a special form, which is really annoying because I bought like a necklace for my friend and it said like dream on it, and I tried to bring it off one day and they're like, you can't bring it off. And I was like, you're kidding. So I went back in my room. Pro tip, you can put the necklace on and then leave. So I bought a turvis for Shannon and they wouldn't let me bring it off, so I filled it with water and pretended I was like drinking it, and then I brought it off, poured out the water and gave it to her. So it's just like weird because you can't bring your stuff off, which was pretty annoying because I had my car parked at Port Canaveral. So like if I wanted to, I could keep clothes in my car and I could swap them back and forth. Or like when I knew I was leaving, I was like wanting to bring off clothes little by little because I had so much stuff and I couldn't. So that's what security is like. The time frame, again, it just depends on where you're working. So like I would get maybe 3 hours off on Port Canaveral Day, and then once a month I would get a Castaway day off and a Nassau day off. So I would have off until 3 o'clock. Or 2 o'clock. I would have off until 2 o'clock. So whenever I woke up until 2. And so you could get off the ship, but most of the time you just like want to sleep because you're so tired. So yeah. Seasickness. So many people ask me, did you ever get seasick? Did other people get seasick? What happens if you get seasick? Do you get in trouble? So here is the lowdown on seasickness. No, I never got seasick. I literally was on the ship for 3 days and I was like, I'm kind of feeling like my stomach. And like a little old Haitian lady came up to me and she was like, listen, seasickness doesn't exist. It's all in your head. And I kid you not, I know you're gonna be like, yeah, right, Jen. I never was seasick ever again after that. I was just like, oh, it's in my head. Because like, you really don't have another choice, so you gotta like mind over matter, you know what I mean? And every time we had like we were going into a rough sea day, or we knew it was gonna be a rough night, like they can tell, you know, the captain could tell because of the weather, what the seas are gonna look like. They are telling us all, you know, go take some Dramamine, and there's like a little nurse, like a door down by the nurse's office with like Dramamine that's free in it, so you just take your Dramamine and you're good. So then they get kind of mad because they're like, did you take your Dramamine? Because if you're sick, they're like, well, what the heck? And a lot of people wear the little bands with the pressure points on them. That's supposed to be like acupressure to keep you from being seasick. And every single, so the Dream went out of Port Canaveral twice a week. So it was a Monday through Friday cruise and then a Friday through Monday cruise. So 2 cruises a week, every week. And the night you leave Port Canaveral, every time, without fail, is so rocky. So everybody else on the ship, like all the guests are like, is it gonna be like this the whole time? And you're like, what's even going on? You can't even feel anything. You're so used to it. It's all good. Like that's all I know. If you really had to like go be sick, they would let you go like be sick. I mean, they wouldn't let you like leave for an hour, but like go throw up and come back. Yeah. Next, what water drill was like. So I did my water drill like 3 or 4 days after I got on the ship. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like a safety training class. When you work on the cruise line, you need to know literally everything about the ship. You need to know what to do in an emergency, in any sort of emergency, fire, you know, like the ship's going down, whatever. Like you need to know literally everything. How many guests fit in the lifeboats, how many crew members fit in the lifeboats, what every single station, every single lifeboat station, you need to know where every single one is. You need to know where yours is. You need to know your duties. You need to know literally everything. So they take you out for this water training and you have to do like 3 or 4 things. And I was with Rochelle, luckily, and we got off on Castaway and we walked to this little, you can see it sometimes if you're on Castaway, when you're walking off the gangway, on the left side, there's a little roped off spot and it says crew members in training. And the first thing you do is you put on a life jacket and you jump off this concrete block, like the road just like ends and it's like the ocean, like, I don't know, a few feet down. It looks pretty high up. You have on your life jacket, you have to put it on and you have to jump in the water. But they tell you the proper way to do it so you don't break your neck. So like you have to go like this, and then you like point your toes and jump in. So you do that, you swim around, you climb the ladder to come out, and then you put on the like full, I don't know what the word is, but it's like to prevent hypothermia. I think it's like the full wetsuit, and it's like the cap, and you like zip it up to here, and it's like your feet and your arms. You literally jump in and you don't even get wet with this thing on. It's crazy. And you're like, just your eyeballs are showing. And again, you do this, you jump in, and then everybody goes. And then you partner up. I was partners with my friend Heath. Shout out Heath, you were the best partner. Heath went to the island, sadly. We had so much fun on shoreside training too. We were like all really close, so that was dope. But then, there was a fur, sorry. Next is they blow up a life raft and throw it in the water upside down. So you and your partner have to climb on top of the life raft, grab the rope, and fall backwards so the huge life raft falls on top of you, and then you gotta swim out from underneath it. I like literally did not want to do this at all because it's scary, and like I was in the ocean, and right before I jumped with my life jacket on, they were like, hold on, there's a jellyfish. And I'm like, you're kidding me, I'm not going in. And I was just being like a diva, but I was like, what the heck? I don't want to jump in when there's a jellyfish. And then our safety officer like got the jellyfish like away from us. And then we all have to, every single person, all 30 of us have to go into the life raft. So crew members get in a life raft, not a lifeboat. We all get in the life raft, and it's so small. And I'm not claustrophobic, but like my dad is very claustrophobic, and I think I'm like getting there mildly. Like there's some claustrophobia there. But I was literally sitting in that life raft, and there are people, like one person sitting on my chest, like it's very tiny. And I was like, I remember just being like, just breathe through it. Like, don't even think about it. It was awful. And then we get out and we do all these exercises where we intertwine our legs with our life jackets on and we float on our backs, like basically what to do if we're stranded in the ocean. And I remember just like laying there in Castaway looking at the sky and being like, what the F am I doing here? It was a stressful day. But it was kind of fun. It's interesting. It's something I'll never do again, so that was that. If I could go back in time to before I started Disney Cruise Line, what advice would I give to myself? That's like a really hard question because I did as much research as I possibly could about cruise line beforehand, and it still felt like I was jumping into like a void of nothingness. It's hard because I feel like I did everything to the best of my abilities. It would probably just be like savor the moments a little bit more, or like write more. I wish I like wrote in my journal more so I like remembered more stuff, or like vlogged more. Just about like guests and about experiences that I had, because like coming off of it, I don't know if it was the trauma or what, but I just like forget about a lot of it. And no matter like how hard it was, it's still some of like the best memories I've had, and I'll never have an experience like that again. And we had like such a close like girlhood in the boutique, and we had such a good group up there, and I met people that like really did change my life. So that was dope. And I guess I would just say like take in every second of it. I wouldn't say anything about like sticking it out or staying longer, because like I really would have jumped off the boat, I think. Moving on. The biggest scare besides being away from my family. Not having freedom, I think, is the biggest, because like when you can't have, not that my phone is like a huge deal, but it's not even social media or anything, but it's like communication with the outside world. Not having that. And like sometimes you have like your 2:00 start, you know, once a month, and that's like the thing you are looking forward to so much, because you know you'll like get sleep, you'll get a good shower, and then the night before they'll tell you, yeah, no 2:00 start for you guys tomorrow because it's too much demand. And it's like, I was looking forward to that all month, and it's so minuscule, but they take away like your freedoms, and like not being able to like go outside because you don't have any time, or not being able to like breathe fresh air, or not being able to like get off the boat. stuff like that really was like scary and frustrating. And I guess the other biggest scare would be, I was kind of a daredevil. I was the only one that did this. I would literally take my car and drive to Orlando on my like 3-4 hour port day breaks. So I would drive an hour to Orlando, stay there for an hour, and then drive back. And I would like go to the parks or whatever, do whatever I could to feel like a normal person. And I would always make it back. If you're not back on the ship at 3:30, you are fired. And they leave your stuff, they leave your passport, they leave everything at Port Canaveral. Bye, they pack it up for you, whatever. That was my like biggest scare, because I was always literally like running to the gangway at like 3:29 and they were like pulling up the thing and I'm like, no. I always made it back on, but that was pretty scary. And the time I went with Sheridan and almost got her deported because she was from Scotland, and we literally walked back on the ship at 3:30 and we were in big trouble. Those were scary times. What happens if guests tip? Okay, so like I got a question about like if guests tip somebody for going above and beyond. So, very, very, very good question. Some positions are tipped, some positions are not. Fairy godmothers in training are not tipped. So if you ask us if we can take a tip, we will say no. And that's it. Like, it's not like we can say no 3 times and then take it. It's like, we cannot take a tip, period. Dining room service, however, can, stateroom hostess and hostesses, stateroom host and hostesses can take a tip. So it just depends. If you feel as though somebody deserves a tip, tip them. And if they accept it, then they can obviously accept it. If you feel somebody deserves a tip and they cannot accept it, the very best thing that you can do is write a letter and give it to guest services. Because on the last day of your cruise, you'll get a little survey to fill out. And on the back, it says, do you have any comments for any crew members that went above and beyond? We don't always get those. So we get recognized for them, and I'll explain that in a second, but we don't always get to see the beautiful things that you wrote. So I had 2 different managers on the ship that like would like go back and forth between vacation. And one of our managers did print those for us and give them to us, which was very nice because people wrote very sweet things, but the other manager did not. So if you want to recognize somebody, please write a letter. It's the best feeling to get a letter. We get like, okay, so most of the departments give like gold stars for if you get recognized in some way. So if somebody writes about you in a survey or somebody writes you a letter, you get gold stars. And at say like 15 gold stars, you get an extra hour off on a port night, which is huge, way better than money. You're giving somebody time off. That's awesome. They also do other things like Wi-Fi cards or whatever. But please, if you really enjoyed somebody on a cruise, even if you don't, every single time I go on a cruise, every single person that has served me gets a letter. Every single time, because I know that it helps them so much. Also, when you're emo and your family is at home and your kids are at home and you're cleaning so many rooms a day, to get a letter that says like, thank you so much, we really appreciated your service, literally means the entire world. So I cannot stress this enough. People are always like, what can I bring? What can I give? What can I do? Write letters and give them to guest service. Huge. Thank you. The last question is the best way to show crew that they are appreciated. So this goes hand in hand. Same thing, please write a letter. The other thing is people are always like, I'm gonna make a goodie bag. What can I bring? Chocolate. But like the good chocolate, that's not like, you know, Hershey's or something, bring like the Ritter chocolate, like the good stuff. That's what we like pined after chocolate because we don't really get like good sweets. Also, as you've seen from my What Crew Members Eat video, we do not get fresh fruits and vegetables very often. So, and you can't bring them on the ship. So if you could bring like go-go squeeze or like fruit peels or something like that, where it's like kind of fruit, but you could still bring it on the ship, that is great. It's so nice that you guys care so much about your crew members, and it really shows. Like Disney Cruise Line, like their crew members are incredible. Like anything you need, and you can attest to this, I'm sure, if you've been a guest on a Disney Cruise Line, they are incredible and they all go above and beyond. So like they deserve letters, they deserve recognition, and it's so nice that you guys are constantly messaging me being like, what can I do for this person? That is so, so, so sweet. So thank you for everybody who's asked that question, because it really does make a whole difference in somebody's whole contract. So yeah! Q&A. Everybody, happy Teensy Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. Thank you so much for supporting. Please subscribe. Please like. Mwah. Happy Teensy Tuesday. Bye.